is to see what kind of book this is. I turn it over and I see a lot of highly esteemed literary fiction writers. I know it's a certain kind of book. I turn it over and I see popular mystery writers. I know it's a certain kind of book.
Mhm.
And, sometimes something will catch my eye because it seems like someone's just absolutely raving about it.
Okay, so that seems like a useful thing then. But you announced your hiatus in December, and then Simon and Schuster announced that it would no longer require blurbs anymore. They made that announcement
Yeah.
a couple weeks after yours. What'd you make of Simon and Schuster's decision?
I think it's great. Some people have attributed that to my post, and I honestly have no reason to think that this guy had read
Oh,
my
but you
post or
don't
had
know.
anything to do with it. We don't
They
know.
could
We
be
don't
right.
know. It could be. But I got so many emails from other writers saying, oh my God, thank you for saying this. We've all
Huh.
been saying this for so long. And I would imagine that same impulse was what was guiding this publisher at Simon and Schuster to say we won't require them. The thing you have to understand there is saying we won't require them does not mean we won't have them. And it certainly is still a really good idea, especially for a debut writer or a writer who isn't really thoroughly established.
Well, okay, but Sean Manning's language this is the vice president and executive editor of Simon and Schuster, making the case against blurbs. This is what he said: this kind of favor trading creates an incestuous and unmeritocratic literary ecosystem that
It's
often
true.
rewards connections over talent. So, one of the largest publishers in the world doesn't have very nice things to say about blurbing. What does that say to you?
I think he's correct. And I think that when the publisher can help hook up the blurbs, that makes it quite a lot more of an even playing field. But there's been this slide recently into agents wanting to get a blurb for a book before it even finds a publisher. And then beyond that, writers wanting to get blurbs before they even seek an agent. And you get down into that level, it is absolutely about people who are well connected. I could never have done that with my first book because I didn't know anyone. And it's intimidating. You don't know who it's keeping out of publishing, that seep into the beginning stages. And I will say, the more people I got to know, the easier it was for my later books to find blurbs. It was much less stressful. I could just text people and say, hey, you want to blurb my book? And they'd say yes. You're thinking, God, why wasn't it this easy when I needed these blurbs?
So you scored the blurb, but do you have any evidence that blurb helped you in your career?
Here's the thing. I do think they still matter, especially for a lesser known writer, because when those early copies go out to magazines that are going to assign reviews to some books, but certainly not most of them, when those books go out to film agents, when they go out to people who are reading for prizes, you have 300 books sitting there that you've been sent. And compelling blurbs absolutely will push something to the top of the pile. And so I will say it. I revised my Substack post that it has now been published in the New York Times Book Review. And in that version, I said at the end, I will be seeking blurbs for my next book. And I'm well established, but it matters. And I think I still have to do it.
What's the best blurb you've ever received for your own writing?
Oh, God. Wow. My very first book, I did not yet know Richard Russo, but he had selected a short story of mine for an anthology. So my agent tracked him down, got him the book, and I had no idea if he would blurb. And he blurbed so generously. It really wouldn't even have mattered what he said, but I think he said sneakily ambitious was the term, which I loved. And he's someone who was blurbing a lot of books, almost all of them debuts, which is such a generous and amazing thing to do. That meant all the world to me. This was really.
Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it.